This was working fine yesterday. Why must I log in today? Who chooses the most inconvenient of times to log me out? Log me out of my chat. So I'll see you guys soon. Oh, no one and nothing, not yet. So when it comes to the solar rig, I'm gonna be... I keep forgetting it. I don't know why. I don't know why I can't remember to change the category, you know? When I stream in art, I leave it as tarot. When I stream in tarot, I leave it as art. I always forget to change it. As I was saying, solar rig. It looks like I'm gonna be ordering my charge controller in the next couple of days. And then I'm going to pick up a battery also sometime in this week or next week. So yeah, hopefully by next week the solar system will be running. The stream will be off grid. I'm gonna keep that goal up there because I need to make back what I've spent. See if I can change this category. Some cocoa, hot chocolate. It's that time of the day, you know, when I would usually eat. And I'm not eating, so my stomach is doing that thing. I don't know if you guys know it, but if you're like used to eating at a certain time and then you don't, your tummy grumbles and growls, and that's weird shit. Donations only? No, that's not how it works, Stone Epiphany. You're welcome to request a free reading. Donations will get you priority, you know. If there was a long ass queue, then a $9 tip would get you a 6-card reading. It would get your name added to the raffle, and it would skip you to the top of the queue. But there is no queue, so if you want a reading, just go ahead and ask. Welcome back, by the way. I know I've been offline for a while. I spent a little bit of time at a monastery, at a Buddhist convent. Lots of fun. Actually, it was shit. It was absolutely shit. Of course you can get a reading. Do you have a question? Okay, let's see if that worked. Yes, Twitch has updated to tarot. I always forget. When I do art streams, I forget to change the category from tarot to art. And when I stream tarot, I forget to change the category from art to tarot. How can you get your partner to be more vulnerable with you and trust you more easily despite his abandonment and trust issues? Welcome back, Milton. So, Stone Epiphany, before I even read, I can only suggest that you lead by example. You demonstrate an example of vulnerability and trust, regardless of whether he is trusting you in return. By the way, Milton, I reserve WhatsApp for family and close connections. Messenger and Discord are like my primary instant messengers. Okay. No, I'm not on Signal. I've never heard of Signal. Okay, so how can you encourage him to be more vulnerable and open? So this question, it reminds me of like a saying where the student asks the teacher, what does self-work mean? And the teacher says, self-work is when you stop waiting for others to change and you start changing inside. So I feel like that can apply for you in this situation. Maybe stop trying to get him to be more vulnerable and making him trust you. Because we can't really change the world around us, we can only change the world inside us. But let's see what the tarot has to say. What do you got to say for Stoned Epiphany? Thoughts deck. What you got to say? How can we make her partner more vulnerable and trust her, deepen in his trust towards her? Another little message that's coming up for me is that you're not responsible for his triggers or his traumas, and similarly he's not responsible for yours. So it's not really fair for him to expect you to take responsibility for his triggers and his traumas, and vice versa. You forgot that WhatsApp was some actual thing. Yeah, right, you forgot. Just a cool way to say hello up until yesterday. Jasmine said you wanted to say you were expecting to see Vishal in class today and he didn't show up. Interesting. Okay, so Stoned Epiphany, Ace of Swords in reverse. This is a past card. It's where you guys come from. So this card, it talks about keeping your goals to yourself and your purpose to yourself. Thoughts, ideas, intuitive nudges, all of these things that come to you, you've been keeping it to yourself. You just operate, and this is something I can relate to because I do it as well. I have an idea of what I need to change in my environment or what I can be doing better, and I just implement it. I don't talk about it. And I'm often met with like resistance from the environment, the people who I interact with. They're expecting me to continue doing things the way I was doing them before. I have got an idea, I'm changing things up, but they're expecting the same habits from yesterday. They're expecting the same routine as before. They're not expecting things to change. So they're trying to be flexible with my routine from yesterday, and yet it's changed. And that creates unnecessary frustration and resistance. It would save me a lot of time, and it would make things a lot easier if I communicated when I was going to change something, or when I came up with a new idea, or if I had an intuitive nudge and it said do this or do that, then to communicate it with my partner and with people around me. So that has been a lesson I've been implementing myself, is to turn that card around so I'm communicating more. So I feel like this card is saying you will, when you're turning that card around, it's going to make it easier for him to be vulnerable with you. It's going to make it easier for him to communicate with you, and you'll be the example, and you'll see, okay, I see how things have gotten easier because you're like sharing your gift, you're sharing your intuition, you're sharing your ideas instead of just operating according to it and leaving everyone else in mystery. You're actually talking about it. That would make it easier for him to communicate with you. So we've got an 8 of Cups in the present. And this talks about strong emotional boundaries, setting them in place. Maybe in the past you have had him like draining you emotionally, or vice versa, you draining him emotionally. I feel like neediness. This card is talking about neediness coming to a close. It's coming to an end. The boundaries being put up that are necessary in order to bring that neediness to an end. Yeah, because you have felt like only certain aspects of yourself are receiving, only certain cups are being filled, and you're only getting attention, or there are parts of you that need your attention, and you only have enough time and energy to focus on certain aspects of yourself when there are a lot of cups that you're leaving empty. So in the present you are setting the boundaries in place that allow you more time and space to look after yourself. And perhaps the same is applying to him. This card is saying that this is the right thing. What you're doing right now, it might feel like it's pushing him further away, or it's giving him less space to be vulnerable, but truly you're giving him a healthy example with that. Future interval is 10 of Wands in reverse. So that card is kind of saying that in the past, during this period of Ace in reverse, and even before that, prior to that, you were not always a good example. And you voiced expectations that were unreasonable. Had standards that are no longer applicable in the present. So he's still going to have to catch up. This 10 of Wands is talking about him catching up to that. Like in his mind, he's still thinking about past expectations, past standards, past boundaries, things that are no longer relevant in the present. And so a lot of his behavior and a lot of his attitude is still trying to interact with a version of you that is from the past, a version of you that's not in the present, a version of you that's not going to be there tomorrow. So he's still catching up, and he's adapting to the changes. It can create a lot of frustration because we have this silly attachment to people. Like, we create silly attachments to our partners and to our family and friends, and we expect them to stay the same, or when they say something we expect that to be law from then onwards into the indefinite future. And that's never the case, you know. We're always ever changing. Everything rises and falls. Nothing is permanent. The person that I am today is not the person I was yesterday, and the person I am tomorrow is not who I am today. And that is how it is for all of us. So we develop attachments to people. In every moment we develop an attachment. That's how they are, that's how they must be, that's how they should stay. And so when tomorrow they're not the same, it can be frustrating and difficult to deal with. So this card is saying that there's still going to be some of that coming up. He's still trying to interact with you based on who you used to be, who you have been. He's still adapting to who you've become, and he will still be adapting to who you're changing into. And all of this is a bit difficult for him to witness and experience because of the attachment, but it's part of the learning curve. He has to see it before we can let go of the attachment. All in all, how can you set an example for him to be more vulnerable with you? Speak more about your intuition. Like, if you get a nudge, an intuitive nudge tells you to say something or do something, be completely transparent about it with him. If you get new ideas, or if you're changing schedule, or if you're whatever it is, talk about it completely transparently with him. And Eight of Cups just wants to say to you, yes, it is important that you set these boundaries that you're setting. It's important that you give yourself enough space and time to fill all of your emotional cups, to give yourself all of the attention that you need. Because you can only overflow onto others when your own cups are full. You can't really, an empty cup can't overflow. And Ten of Wands in reverse is just, it's like a heads up saying he's still catching up. He's still catching up to all the changes. So welcome Champagne and Mr. Subin and Serenity of Soul. Welcome, guys. So we've got Jasmine in the queue, followed by Mr. Subin, followed by Champagne, followed by Serenity of Soul. Yes, you are in fact in the queue, Serenity of Soul. Jasmine wants to know, is Vishal my soulmate? Just trying to see if at any point did Milton join the queue. Thank you so much, Milton. Everyone watching, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Thank you so much. Much appreciation for that support, the show of support you give. Jasmine says, sometimes I feel he is, sometimes I'm doubtful, need to clarify. Okay. So the truth is, Jasmine, that I have no idea what a soulmate is. I've heard a lot about it. A lot of people think it's this thing, a lot of people think it's that thing, people say it's this thing, people say it's that thing. There's no consistency in what a soulmate is. And then there's suddenly this idea of a twin flame, and there's this idea of a life partner, and all these things are different, and it really makes zero amount of sense. Yeah. It makes zero amount of sense. Soulmates? Twin flames? Nah. Life partners? Nah. They are people. Human beings. Born under different stars. Champagne says we have many soulmates. See, there's someone who thinks they know. I wouldn't claim to know. I wouldn't say, yeah, there's one soulmate, there's many soulmates. I'm not going to claim to know something I know nothing about. I think that anyone can love anyone, and I think that every time that you are sexual with someone, and that doesn't have to be penetration and actual sex, and just intimate and close and physical with someone, you make yourself, you edit your DNA to be more compatible with theirs, and vice versa. And that happens between any two human beings. Also, you have a frequency, and you can change your frequency at any time, and as long as you are within a frequency, you attract other people who vibrate on the same frequency. So soulmates, twin flames, life partners, that's all a load of hogwash. Familiar spirits, says Champagne. You must do you, Champagne. You must believe whatever works for you, and you know, I pick up beliefs and scrap beliefs according to what serves me and what doesn't serve me, and soulmates and karmic partners and all that nonsense doesn't serve me whatsoever, so I will not be subscribing. But if it serves you, please, by all means. Anyway, Jasmine is up next. We have a major question which will basically answer all the questions in your mind. Okay. What advice do the spirits have for Jasmine about this relationship with Vishal? So you'd like to put up a different question. Is he my permanent? Like, will he stay with me for the rest of my life? That's an interesting question right there. Very interesting question. I feel like you have to reach a certain point in your own personal evolution before you can match with someone who's gonna stay permanently. You're permanent. If you're not emotionally mature enough or spiritually mature enough, then, like, I'm talking from my own experience, then in my relationships I will create resistances, not even consciously. Unconsciously I create resistances. I blame, I look for reasons to put distance between us because I feel hurt or I feel betrayed or whatever. I've got triggers from my upbringing, I've got past traumas that come up, and I want to make the other person responsible because I don't understand why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And that was like, that's something I repeated through many relationships. So I feel like we have to evolve in our emotional self and our spiritual self to a certain point before we can let go of all that nonsense, and we can actually have a relationship that's free of all that unnecessary baggage. Because as long as that stuff is there, we constantly are we're constantly self-sabotaging our relationships and constantly throwing shit in the way. And I know that's not what people want to hear. I know that's not what you guys expect to hear. You want me to talk about soulmates and twin flames and life partners and all that. But I don't want to discourage you from going into this relationship wholeheartedly. What I want to encourage you to do is let go of the fear that he's not going to be the right one, that he's not going to be there forever. That it's okay if this is just a learning relationship, if this is just part of your maturation process, a part of you reaching that state of being emotionally mature enough to actually have an eternal partner. It's okay if there are stages in between reaching that point. But here we go. Will Jasmine and Vishal spend their lives together? So that side-to-side swinging is a no. But that's okay. It doesn't mean you should end the relationship right now. So the advice that the tarot has for you is the Seven of Swords. And the Seven of Swords says to me that neither of you has chosen your purpose yet. And that's why you're not going to spend your lives together. Because you are still uncertain of what it is you're creating with your life. And he is still uncertain of what it is he's creating with his life. At some point, you guys are going to go in different directions. Like right now, you're still at that place before beginnings, before you've chosen anything, before you've chosen a destination, before you've chosen a road, a pathway to get to your destination. And one day you will choose. You will decide, that is the reality I'm creating for myself. That is the life I'm creating. You'll visualize it, you'll see it clearly, and you'll start moving towards it. And he will do the same. And even in that moment where you've made the choice, and you've started working towards purpose, that doesn't mean the relationship will end. But at that moment, you might find that what he's creating and what you're creating are not really compatible visions. Is there a way you can change it to a yes, or is it impossible? I don't think anything is impossible, but I also wouldn't encourage you to fixate on it. I wouldn't encourage you to become obsessed with changing it to a yes, because that is how you make it. That's how you make. So oftentimes, if I read something negative in the cards and I don't want it to happen, and then I try and do things that will change the outcome, those things that I do to change the outcome is what makes that outcome happen. So yeah, I would encourage you to just throw it up in the air and surrender it to the will of the universe, and just take it one day at a time, and love him like you're going to be with him forever. And if it doesn't last forever, then it doesn't last forever. If it does last forever, then it does. Just be okay with whatever the future has to offer. Hey Jess, welcome back. So next up we had Mr. Subin. Mr. Subin, please confirm that you are still here. Yes, exactly, Jasmine. Just be with the present. Live in the present moment. Enjoy the time that you have with him every day, every time that you see him, every time that you guys are together. Enjoy each present moment. Like it says there, live the present. What does it say on that side? Cycle of ages. That doesn't even mean anything. Live the present is very important. Sure, Jess, you're in the queue. Okay, so Mr. Subin wants general guidance from the stars. You're welcome, Jasmine. And I must just recognize you and say well done. You embrace the guidance of the tarot. And that is, yeah, a lot of people don't embrace the guidance of the tarot. They want to hear things, they want to hear what they want to hear, and they're not open to taking any real advice, and you are. And that is extremely valuable. that is a very growth. It's like it's a powerful growth mindset. You're going to go far with that kind of mindset. Okay, Mr. Subin, I've got a 10 of Wands in reverse for you. That's your first card. So that card's basically saying that your struggle is coming to a close. Like you've had a lot of difficulty with people, just the world in general. It felt like you were under pressure the whole time, under pressure, lots of frustration, lots of resentment, fear. What else? I'm feeling longing and like passion, a lot of difficult feelings, and like feeling like people are working against you. And that card wants to say that you went through all of that difficulty and that pain, felt like you were burning in a fire because you did those things to other people. So if people were gossiping about you, or if people were being aggressive towards you or oppressive, it was a reflection of something you've been doing to others. But at some point you stopped that. So that whole period of feeling like you're burning is coming to a close. You have endured your karma, basically. And now that period is finished. You're moving into a new period. Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords in reversed. So this card primarily talks about letting go of expectations, which seems to be a theme of today. So this card is saying you've got goals in your mind that you've been working towards. You've got ideas you want to manifest and create. And you expect it to happen a certain way. It's like you're waiting. When I have so much money, then I'll execute this plan. When it's quiet, or when it's warm, or when there's electricity, or when there's gas, that you just got all of these conditions and expectations. Like you need to have everything in a perfect order before you will even try to accomplish that goal. Or so that's on the one hand. On the other hand, you expect it to look a certain way when it's done. You expect the goal to be fulfilled in a certain way. You expect the idea to manifest in a certain way, and it doesn't. And that leads to disappointment. And also when you are waiting for the environment to be in its perfect conditions before you even try, it makes progress very slow. And how to put this in words? Nothing really happens. You end up waiting more than doing anything. Sitting still waiting for things to align before actually doing anything. Waiting, spending most of your time waiting and then being disappointed that nothing happened. So that card wants you to turn that around ASAP, and just use what you have at your disposal. Just step through the gateway, just do it, whether it looks like it's possible or not. No expectations. If you fail, you fail. It's a lesson. You learn from it, you do better next time. But to stop the waiting, stop the procrastinating, and stop expecting things to happen a certain way. Stop having expectations. Future interval is a 7 of Cups. So that card is saying that what's opening up for you is feeling overwhelmed by your emotional experience. A lot of emotions coming in, positive and negative, making you feel overwhelmed, and you're going to feel like you don't want to face it, and you're going to feel like you want to distract yourself from it. Rather than taking action, you're just going to like sleep more, or eat more, or binge watch TV, or play video games for 24 hours straight. Don't do any of that. Just face the emotions. Acknowledge them. Say, yes, this is what I'm feeling. It's shit. And then express it in some form of creativity. Express it in writing. Express it through your voice. Do something creative with the emotion, whether it's positive or negative, whether it's a pleasant experience or a negative experience. You want to do something creative with it. First, acknowledge it. Say, yes, this is what I'm going through. And then do something creative regardless of how you're feeling. You say you did nothing wrong to others. That's bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Sorry for calling you bullshit, but you can't go your whole life without doing anything wrong to other people. It's not possible. Sorry, not sorry. So these cards, so that you saying you're not taking responsibility, you did nothing wrong, others did something wrong. The tarot cards are literally saying that is your problem. That attitude of not taking no self-acknowledgement, that is where your problem is. And you need to start taking responsibility for yourself, and that was how you change things. Start looking for what part you had to play. Not looking at what other people are doing. Look at what you are doing. Not looking at how other people are mistreating you. Looking at yourself. Not trying to change the world around you or waiting for good times. Creating good times. Changing yourself. So next up would be Champagne. Are you still here, Champagne? I feel like Champagne is not here, but we'll see. We'll find out. After Champagne would have been Serenity. So looking for confirmation from Champagne, looking for confirmation from Serenity. Sorry to hear that, Mr. Subin. Sorry to hear about the bullies. So, Champagne got all prissy and upset because I told her that karmic partners are bullshit and soulmates are bullshit and twin flames are bullshit. Shame. Sorry about that, Champagne. Moving on to Serenity. Serenity of Soul says, I've received a mail from police and it's about a family problem and I want a reading about that situation. Okay. No problem. Can do that for you. And then just a little note from Mr. Subin. Everybody gets bullied. Like, I was bullied. I was bullied by family, I was bullied by my parents, I was bullied by kids at school, I was bullied at every angle throughout my whole life, and I think that's true for everyone. I was bullied at college by my lecturer, I was bullied at work by other waiters when I was working as a waiter, during that same period, studying and working. Sometimes people try and bully me even to this day, but you know, as I get older and I learn about boundaries and I learn that I'm responsible for my own happiness and no one else is, it affects me less, and they're not even able to. They can try and bully, but it doesn't affect me. I'm sure it's very hard, but it's not easy for any of us. Well, I don't know anyone who's got it easy. Okay, so bring clarity to this family situation that has involved the police. So we've got the Moon card as a wild card. And the Moon card is about shattering illusions, shattering delusion, tearing the veil of self-believed lies or anything that has been believed that is not true. Any kind of illusion or delusion. If someone has tried to make you believe something, yeah, it's usually something that's coming from the outside, not something that comes from inside. That's a Tower. In this card, it is saying, first of all, that there are things, there's like a face that this family member has been putting on. I don't know if it's one person, family problem, if it's one individual or if it's several individuals. They have been putting an image up that's not true. It's elusive, it's delusive. Self-pity, just looking for sympathy or making things out to be worse than they are. They're projecting stuff that isn't actually accurate and getting people to believe it. And that's being shattered. That veil is being torn. More than that, this card also wants to say to you that you have the tools you need at your disposal. So it might seem like you're standing now with this insurmountable object in front of you, but you actually have everything that you need in order to walk through it safely, to get through it safely. So in this card, I don't know if you're familiar with the book of Exodus, but in this card there's walls of water and there's a pathway through it. And we've got Anubis, the Egyptian god of death, 2 copies of him standing on either side of this opening. And it's very much reminiscent of the story where Moses parts the sea, parts the waters of the sea. And in that story, Moses doesn't know what to do when they're at the sea, and he cries out to God and he says, "Why have you brought us here to die? We have death in front of us, we have death behind us." And God answers quite sarcastically and says, "Why are you calling out for help? Didn't I give you my staff? Use it. Hold it over the water and part it, and we will cross over on dry land." So, yeah, this card is kind of saying to you that it might seem like you've got the sea in front of you, like it's impossible to cross, but you actually have a wild card, you have a trump card that'll get you through it safely. All you have to do is apply it. I don't know what exactly it is, but you have what you need at your disposal. Welcome, Kana and Lordelmar. Okay, so now getting a little bit deeper. Past interval is Queen of Swords. She's the right way around. The video is laughing, lagging. Issues not coming from my side. Queen of Swords, what are you saying? The Queen of Swords talks about seizing an opportunity for new knowledge, for like intellectual expansion. It kind of gives me like new term vibes. So I've been studying a topic for one term, and now the new term starts. I'm going to be studying the same topic but deeper. And I'm only able to go deeper now because I've learned the basics I learned from the first term. Without the knowledge of first term, I wouldn't be able to go any deeper. So it's kind of like that. That's kind of the energy of the Queen of Swords. And this is something that's in the position of the past. So this problem that's to do with the family, it isn't new. And that's what this card is saying to me. It's not a new thing that's happening. You have had to deal with this problem in the past. And you learned from that experience, from interacting with them. You had to, it was like going to war. You had to pick up a shield and learn to wield a sword. And these are symbols, naturally. Not an actual shield or an actual sword. You had to learn to defend yourself intellectually and verbally. And now, getting this message from the police, it's like stage 2. And you are equipped to deal with stage 2 because it's not new, because you've already come from it. You know what this issue is about. It's not a new problem. So in the present, I've got an 8 of discs. So 8 of discs is like, it's literally called prudence. The card is literally called prudence, and it's about making changes and adjustments within your physical world, within your finances, in order to be prudent, in order to have more at your disposal, more surplus, or if you don't have surplus, if you've got more expense than income, and then to balance it. That's the energy of 8 of discs. So that would be like letting go of luxurious habits that you can no longer afford, or maybe you can afford, but now you've got a new project in front of you and you're going to need a certain amount of resources in order to fulfill that project. Or in this case, it might be a court case, and now you're going to need some extra funding for the court case. So then letting go of certain habits, or instead of eating out, cooking at home, just making adjustments in the way that you spend in order to leave more resource at your disposal for whatever it is that, if it's a court case, for legal fees, if it's you're starting a new project, for that, if it's an investment, then for that. But I think you understand what I'm saying. The 8 of discs is about changing habits and lifestyle in order to so that you have more to play with, more resources, more energy to play with. The card, if it was in reverse, then I would say your expenses are too big, higher than your income, but it's the right way around. So there is balance, but you're anticipating new expenses coming up, so you're making shifts in habits to give yourself more, so you have more at your disposal when those things come up. So I'm looking at my screen, Mr. Subin. It's not lagging, so the issue is not on my end. My bit rate is still up. It's still over 3,000. It's still in the green. Everything on my end is still good. Future interval is a 6 of cups. She's in reverse. She? Yeah, she's in reverse. And the 6 of Cups, it kind of says that you will evolve through this experience. The relationship will evolve. All of these people involved, it's a family issue, so there's family relation there. 6 talks about that relation. Cups talks about emotions. It's basically saying that this, whatever you're going to have to face now, whatever it is that you're moving into, whatever the sea is that you're about to cross, or whatever shifts you have to be going through here in the present, it's going to be difficult for you and everybody involved, but you guys will come through it, and you will all grow, come into a healthier state of being as in the resolution as a result. Hey beautiful blondie, welcome. Thank you for your recognition. Nice music, tapestry, voice, beautiful. Thank you, and thank you. Awesome synchronicity, seen the Six of Cups 3 times today, and I hope that you got what you came for, Serenity of Soul. And Jessica O was asking whose reading was this, so that reading was for Serenity of Soul. And Mr. Subin wants to know if I'm reading him. No, Subin, if I gave you a reading, then I wouldn't read for you again. That's not how it works. I give one free reading per viewer. So next up would be Jessica. Welcome Curtie, welcome back. It's been a while. Beautiful Blondie says, sometimes if you're hearing and it's resonating, then it was still meant for you to hear. That's absolutely accurate. Thanks, Serenity. I hope you have a nice day. Yeah, so Jess, you're up next. Are you still here? Shivi, welcome back, and thank you for confirming, Jess. So you were asking me if Avinash is the right person for you to end up with. What advice does the universe have for Jessica regarding Avinash and her love life in general? So Shivi, I am doing well, thank you. I'm going to be ordering my solar charge controller probably tomorrow. Thanks for the follow, beautiful Blondie. So ordering that solar charge controller sometime tomorrow probably, and within this week I'll probably head to town and pick up a deep cycle battery. So probably by next week, the stream will be off-grid and be running on solar power. Just in time as well. Manifestation power, manifestation power. A go. On behalf of Jessica, is Avinash the right one for her to end up with? So the pendulum is saying yes, rocking very slowly, and then picking up speed. So that rocking very slowly and then picking up speed, it kind of says to me that it's not going to feel like it at first. You're going to have a lot of doubts going into the relationship. You're going to feel like there are incompatibilities or inconsistencies. But the more time you guys spend together, you're going to realize that you just had to adapt. You just had to integrate. Yeah, you just have to get used to you and your habits, and you just have to get used to him and his habits. And then you'll find you actually do fit together. So, what does the tarot have to say? We have number 5 in reverse. So this card, it's stressing that you don't try too hard. It's saying that you are trying too hard and you need to stop trying so hard. Take smaller steps. Like in every aspect of your life, you're trying to push yourself beyond your capacity. You're trying to do more than you're actually capable of. You're trying to manifest this relationship. You're trying to manifest wealth and finances and emotional abundance and all these things, and you're pushing yourself too hard and too far. Take it slower. All of these things are within your reach, but you don't have to be trying so hard. Everything will happen in its timing. Everything will happen in divine, universal timing. So small steps, just do the best that you can. You don't have to do more than that. And if you need to rest, take some rest. An interesting thing that someone said to me, which I don't know how I feel about it yet, is depression, depressed, actually means deep rest. It's a need for deep rest. Don't know how I feel about that, because if I'm, like in my personal experience, if I'm depressed and then I go and get my deep rest, I'll be deep resting forever. I'll just die in my bed and never do anything. The only way I get out of my depression is to actually get up and put one foot in front of the other, like this is saying, and not trying too hard, not trying to push myself, just one step, one foot in front of the other, baby steps, and I get somewhere. Yeah, it makes depression seem less scary, and I guess that's what's important. So who was after Jessica? Oh, the voice is late. Okay. Let me fix that quickly. But who was next? If the voice comes late, So then we've got like 1 Mississippi, 2 okay, it's like 2 seconds. So weird. So weird. I'll fix it now. You're welcome, Jessica. So, Lodalmar, if you're still here, you were telling me that the voice comes late, that the video is laughing. I know you meant the video is lagging. I know. I'm just making a joke. So you were next. You are next if you're still here. And so Kana, if you wanted to join the queue, you had to like give me some kind of indication that you were joining the queue, because I see you said here, "How are you?" and I don't know if I answered that. You're next, Lord Lamar. You're next. Lord Lamar, Lord Delmar, Lua Delmar. Not sure how to say that. I'm just gonna say Lua. But you're up next. I'm gonna fix the audio quickly. It's 2 seconds. 2 second thing. That should do it. Loads of hearts. You guys are making my partner jealous. Go easy with all the hearts. So, Lua, do you have a question? Or would you just like a general reading? When will you attract some more good friends into your life? Cool question. Just a general, okay. No stress. General reading. So, if you want to attract good people into your life, then look inside and see what you can change to make yourself healthier. And then you will start attract people who are doing the same thing, who are looking at themselves and changing for the better. Some prefer questions, some general. Yes, I don't think either is better than the other. So tell Lua what he or she needs to hear. How's my audio? Is it any better? Is it in sync yet? One Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Oh, it's still a little bit off. It's close. Okay, so I've got number 13, Death card in reverse as your first card. So this card is saying, first of all, that you have lost people in your family and people that you've known throughout the last couple of years. There has been losses, but more recently you've lost a relationship. Whether that was romance or friends or family, there's a relationship that broke. When you were in the relationship, when that friendship or whatever it was still going strong, there was a certain lifestyle, there was a certain way of being, certain habits and routines, and at the end of that everything changed. There's no aspect of your lifestyle or your life that is the same as it was before that break, before the end of that relationship, end of that friendship, or whatever kind of relationship it was. And it's been painful. Adjusting to the new way of existing has been painful and difficult. But this card, it's showing up just to encourage you and say that it's for the best. It might be painful and difficult to go through it, but it brings you closer to what's actually authentic to you. The way you were living in that relationship or in that state of being, there was a lot of inauthenticity there. And with that out of the way, even though it's painful and unnecessary, it leaves a lot more room for you to develop in your authentic nature, in who you are authentically inside. In the present, I've got the Lover's card in reverse. So this is again talking about a relationship, not the one that ended. This is one, it's a different relationship, it's another relationship. A deep one, strong connection, deep soul and heart connection. Doesn't have to be romantic, probably is, or one or the other feels some kind of romantic attraction, or has at some point. I digress. Basically, this card is saying that there is like, you guys are making each other aware of your limitations. Like, since this has happened, you've been doing the best that you can to cope and adjust and keep up with life and requirements and responsibilities and the whole thing, you know, living, existing, doing the best that you can. When you look at them, it seems like they got all their shit together, and it's kind of intimidating. It kind of makes you feel like, hey, I'm doing the best that I can and it's not enough. But the truth is, they're looking at you and they're feeling the same thing. They're feeling like, how do you cope? How do you do so well? How do you look like everything is fine when it's not? And they're also feeling intimidated, or feeling like they're becoming aware of their limitations because they can see you, and you're feeling aware of your limitations because you're seeing them. And this is difficult. It's discouraging. But this kind of card is, okay, so it's not romantic. It's still talking about someone who is close to you. Still a very close friend, maybe your mother. The Lover's card is about strong heart connections, deep relationships. Doesn't mean romance. It can mean romance. The Lover's card can be in romance, but it doesn't have to be. At any rate, have a look at this, like these things that I'm saying. Who is it that is making you feel intimidated? Who is it that's making you... They're not deliberately doing anything to intimidate you or make you feel small, but looking at their lifestyle or looking at how well they're doing makes you feel inadequate. If you can think of someone where that's happening, that's who this card is talking about. And it wants you to acknowledge that when they look at you, they're feeling the same things, even though you're not deliberately going out of your way to make them feel small or to intimidate them or make them feel like they're not good enough. They're feeling that way when they look at you, same as you're feeling that way when you look at them. And this is not, it's not like some kind of sick joke that the universe is playing. The universe has brought you guys together. They are an example for you, so that you can overcome your limits, so that you can do better than you were doing before, and vice versa for them as well, so that they can overcome their limits by looking at you as an example. There are pieces of the puzzle that you have, and there are pieces of the puzzle that they have, and even though it's not easy to acknowledge, even though it's not easy to see them as doing better than you in those aspects of life, the point is for you guys to evolve past your limits. It's so that you can learn from them and they can learn from you. Future interval is the Priestess in reverse. All these cards are reverse. So when you have reverse cards, it kind of implies that you're missing out on the full potential of what that card has to offer you. So the Death card, when the old is culled away, the new begins. And when it's reversed, it's like you're spending too much time wishing that the old way of life could still be there instead of embracing the new way of life. You're missing out on the full potential of what the universe is giving you and focusing all of your attention on what the universe is taking away from you. Lover's card in reverse. It's where you don't want to acknowledge, or you don't want to recognize that you should be learning from their example. Instead, you're just looking at, so an example would be to, like in my relationship, I see my partner's good at this thing, and I'd be like, oh, you're good at that thing, so you do it. You're good at cooking, so you cook all the time. I'm not going to even try and learn how to cook. Whereas I could tap into greater potential if I was observing and I was learning and I cooked with, in order to learn how to cook to that same level of excellency. And then we get to the priestess. So here, it's time to turn the card the right way around. Once you turn this, if you can turn this priestess card the right way around, then all of your cards thereafter are going to be the right way around. You're going to be tapping into the maximum potential. The priestess is opportunity. There is opportunity that is on the horizon for you. It's a future card. It's something that's opening up. There's opportunities and potential opening up on the horizon for you. It's like the potential that exists in a seed. You plant a seed, you have to commit to that seed. It's like a giant fruit tree exists in a tiny little seed, but it doesn't automatically just become a fruit tree. You have to water it, and you have to nourish it, and you have to protect it from weather. And you have to do this for a long time without getting any fruit from it, just trusting that one day it will be a full-grown tree and you can get fruit from it. So that's the kind of potential and opportunity that's opening up for you, and that's to do with your love life, that's to do with your relationships of all kinds, general and romantic. It's to do with your finances, it's to do with your health. It's every aspect of your life. There's potential and opportunity opening up for you, opportunity for great abundance, but you're going to have to commit to it. If you don't commit to it, you can plant that seed and you can walk away from it, and it will just wither and die without you there to water it, without you there to make sure it's got good soil, without you there to make sure that it's sheltered from heavy rains or extreme sun. It's going to wither and die. So that's what the card in reverse is saying. It's saying to you that in the past you've been presented with similar opportunities, and you planted the seed, you claimed the potential, the opportunity, but you didn't commit to it, and so you lost out on its value. And yeah, if you want to turn all of your cards the right way around, it would be to commit to whatever opportunities and whatever potential presents itself in the next week, in the next month. And that's to do with every aspect of your life. Claim it and then commit to it, and you will turn that card around, and then all the other cards in your life will also turn the right way around.